You opened your phone. You closed it. You opened it again. Nothing was there the first time. Nothing was there the second time. You knew that. You did it anyway. That is not boredom. That is your brain running from something it does not want to face. And that something is you. I'm Tim. I find the science behind what your brain is actually doing, not the version other channels give you. And here is what nobody has told you about silence. You are not uncomfortable with quiet. You are uncomfortable with yourself. That distinction is going to change how you see every habit you have built around avoiding silence. Stay with me. The experiment that exposed us all in 2014, psychologist Timothy Wilson put people in a quiet room. No phone, no music, no input. Just sit. Just think. 6 to 15 minutes. That was the entire task. Most people could not do it. 2/3 of men pressed a button mid-session that sent an electric shock through their own body. Just to break the silence. They chose pain over their own thoughts. Read that again. They chose physical pain over sitting quietly with themselves. This is not about being distracted people. These were ordinary people. People exactly like you. So what breaks inside you the moment silence arrives? It starts with a network your brain switches on the second you stop focusing. Scientists call it the default mode network. When your brain has no task, no scroll to absorb, no voice to follow, the default mode network ignites. And it does not rest. It does not idle. It starts playing back every unresolved thought you have not dealt with. Every conversation you replayed at 2 a.m. Every regret you buried under a playlist. Every version of yourself you are not proud of. The DMN does not care that you are not ready. It hands you the files anyway, and your brain panics. So you reach for your phone, not because you are curious about content, because your brain is screaming, and you keep muting it. What you are actually running from researcher Jonathan Smallwood at Queen's University, Belfast, spent years mapping mind wandering. His findings were uncomfortable. The default mode network does not surface random thoughts. It surfaces the specific things you have been avoiding processing. The harder you avoid silence, the louder those things get. You have not been escaping your thoughts. You have been stockpiling them. Every podcast you used as background. Every video you put on just to fall asleep. Every time you turned on the TV the moment you walked in the door, not to watch anything, just to kill the quiet. You thought you were relaxing. You were actually running. Here is the identity attack most people never see coming. You probably think of yourself as someone who handles stress well, someone who keeps it together, someone who is fine. But your relationship with silence tells a different story, because a person who is fine can sit in a quiet room. They do not need the noise. They do not panic when the music stops. They do not check their phone 4 times in 7 minutes without knowing why. You do not hate silence. You hate what shows up in it. And what shows up is the part of you that you have not dealt with yet. Now here is the counterintuitive reversal. Most people believe they reach for noise because they are stressed. The research shows the opposite. You are more stressed because you keep reaching for noise. Dr. Arna Dietrich's work on transient hypofrontality shows your brain requires low stimulation periods to complete its recovery cycle. When you flood your system with input, you interrupt that cycle mid-process. Every playlist you used as a crutch, every podcast playing in your ear, every hour of background TV. You thought you were calming down. Your cortisol levels disagreed. Your brain was not resting. It was waiting, and you kept not showing up. The loop, you do not see yourself. And picture your morning. Before your feet hit the floor, your thumb is already moving. Instagram, close, reopen, YouTube, nothing interesting. Keep scrolling, notifications, nothing urgent. Check again. You tell yourself it is habit. It is not habit. It is your amygdala, your brain's threat detection system, firing before you are even fully awake, because the bedroom was quiet, and your brain registered the quiet the same way it registers danger. Something is wrong. Something is missing. Something is about to go badly. Your amygdala does not ask whether the threat is real. It just responds. And silence, somehow, feels like a threat. Research from Matthias Basner at the University of Pennsylvania found that noise exposure elevates cortisol significantly. But here's what stops people cold. The anticipation of silence triggers the same cortisol spike. Your brain does not wait for the quiet to arrive. It starts defending against it the moment it suspects silence is coming. You are not reacting to silence. You are afraid of what you will hear when the noise stops. And here is the brutal part. The thing waiting in that silence, it is not depression. It is not trauma. It is not darkness. It is just you. The unedited version. The one without the noise to make you feel okay. The one asking questions you have not answered yet. Questions like, am I actually happy? Is this the life I chose or the life I drifted into? That is what is waiting. That is what the silence holds. And your brain knows if you sit long enough, you will have to answer. So you press play again. What happens if you stop running 2 minutes? Research on mindfulness and neural recovery shows that 2 minutes of chosen silence produces measurable changes in your prefrontal cortex, the part that regulates emotional processing and clear thought. Not a meditation retreat, not a digital detox week. 2 minutes. Your brain already knows how to use silence. It was designed for it. But you have trained yourself to treat quiet like a wound instead of a window. Here's the uncomfortable truth you will carry out of this video. You have not been protecting yourself from silence. You have been protecting yourself from yourself. The version of you that avoids silence is the version that stays stuck. And everything you have been avoiding is still there. It will be there tonight, when the room goes quiet, when the show ends, when the phone is on the charger and there is nothing left to open. Notice what your brain does in that moment. Notice what it reaches for. Notice what thought arrives first before you mute it. That thought, right there, is the one that has been waiting longest. That is the one worth sitting with. If something in this video made you uncomfortable, that is exactly the point. Subscribe, because the psychology your brain most needs to hear is already on this channel.